y'all doing? I'm going live today.
The cosmos is within you. Remember who you are.
Trying to get this stuff up and running. Hey, YouTube, are you there? I'm here, YouTube. I'm here. Oh, my goodness. And I'm on Instagram. And hi, TikTok. How is everybody doing today? I hope everyone is fine. All right, I just need to check and see how I'm doing on YouTube. Give me a second here if I'm showing up because, and I am a little late today, forgive me. TikTok, don't forget, this is all about some gifts, right? There's 2 live streams going on here. I don't know why. Oh, one's, okay, I'm on. Oops. Okay. Everything's looking good. Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm so glad to be here. I feel like taking a break between Thursday and Tuesday is just a very long time for me, and I hope everyone can hear me. And I am not necessarily looking at the chats today because I'm streaming in so many different spaces. Hi, how you doing? TikTok, thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. Instagram, how are you today? YouTube, how are you today as well? Yes. And before I say anything, let me just say first, love and lights, welcome all. Akh Ascension series here. And I'm excited to be here for our 3rd week, and I'll get into that in a minute. You don't have to have been here for the last 2 weeks to join in here right now. You are right where you need to be at the right time, and there is no accident as to why you found this this video stream on either platform. You are supposed to be here. So stay. Love and lights, welcome all. Akh Ascension series. I really appreciate you. Okay, I would love for you all to give me a compliment, either in the chat or comments. A compliment. Give me a comment in the chat or in the comment section and say IB, I-B. This week we're doing IB, the 3rd body of light in the gate of Ka. So comment that in the chat or the comments to let me know you're here. IB, I-B. In order for the algorithms to function well, and I'm talking to everyone, but on these other platforms, the more follows I have, the more likes I have on these things, the better visibility I get on all platforms. On YouTube specifically, the algorithm loves subscribes, and they likes as well. So I have to do that housekeeping first before I begin, and I hope my audio is working well for everyone today. Okay, I'm really excited because today but it situates the gate of Ka, right? This is the 3rd body of light in the gate of Ka, and I'm going to show you all that goodness in a minute. Okay, so please comment IB, I-B if you're here for any amount of time, right? IB, like or follow if you are here for longer than 3 minutes. That means you're getting something. All right. So let me get my little notes up here because I'm a note keeper on these days, particularly on Tuesdays, because Tuesday we do and I got a preamble. My son is visiting me. He has no couth. I take that back. You might hear some noise in the background because I don't think he's into the process of the podcast. So if you hear some noise, or if you see me looking mean over my screen or giving some hand signals, I'm talking to my son, unless the cat jumps on the table. Right. And so Tuesdays are really important for the week every Tuesday, because Tuesday is where I situate I jumpstart all the conversations with commentary. And the goal is to pull in what is happening in our social, cultural, political, economic, environmental, every single reality we can think of that is enmeshed within what we call the United States of Americans. Okay, hi everybody on TikTok. I'm multi-streaming. Same with Instagram. I'm multi-streaming. Okay, so if I'm looking at different screens, it's because I am engaging different audiences, because I don't do everything. Well, first of all, to be on TikTok, and do Restream. I use Restream. I don't use OBS because OBS has proved to be unreliable as far as the volume. Maybe that's just me not knowing how to use it. But I forgot what I was going to say, so forget it. It's not even worth me figuring it out. But okay, if you see me looking at different cameras, you know I'm looking at different areas because I can't stream everything in Restream. Okay, so I got TikTok here because TikTok doesn't allow you to do third-party streaming apps. Unless it's 50% gaming. And I don't know if psychic reading counts as gaming, although it started off as a game. I mean, I could bring out my cards and do some of that, but I don't know if it counts. I don't want to chance it on TikTok because TikTok is where I find lately and always there's like a great interest in this work, in the Akh Ascension. And so I have got to pull TikTok in here. And yes, they are on the phone. Hi, TikTok. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Don't forget the gifts. We need the gifts. And I got the cheap gifts. All right. You ain't even got to dig deep into your pocket. I got the cheap gifts. Okay. Give me some gifts. Okay. I hate selling myself like that. It seems so cheap. But it is what it is. And when you are, as a media ecologist, as I was raised in my master's, you got to take on the language of the media or the mediated environment in which you are situated. And on TikTok, it is about gifts. And share this TikTok with other people who need to come and hear what's happening here today. All right. So I'm hoping everything is going okay on Instagram. I'm going to pull this camera over, or this screen over, so I could just keep tabs on it. And I'm going to pull up my notes. Hi, y'all. You know what? I don't even have any music today, which is a little problematic. But it's okay. It's okay. So today, y'all, I'm getting, and again, like I said, Tuesdays is important because I situate the spiritual metaphysical talk, the Melanin metaphysics, which is definitely spiritual talk, in what is happening in our social reality. And I do claim to be a racial realist. A racial realist is somebody who understands about racism in this society as being everything and then some for the founding, development, and the workings, the machinery of this country. So I'm a racial realist. I deal with melanin metaphysics. I am a Black woman, so I speak what I understand and I know. I have to say, too, that I think being Black or other brown in this society, you would also be an expert in whiteness, okay? Whiteness. And we're going to talk more about that in a particular way today. Okay, I know I'm kind of animated because I missed y'all. I'm excited, and my quote for today is, you have spent a life trying to prove you deserve, you exist. You never had to. You already do. And for those people who think I'm only talking to Black Americans because I am Black, I'm talking about melanin. Kim is the operative word for me, the ancient word for Black. Everybody has melanin. Black people just have a extra added amount because we are encased in Kim. Okay, but everybody has melanin throughout their whole body. And whatever I'm saying to Black folks, I'm saying to anybody who wants to tap into their melanin. Okay, again, I'm just a Black woman and I speak to Black folks because that's what it is. If you don't like that, then, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. No, that is the way it is. And there is no apology. All right. So I want to start today with something that actually happened, my friend. Not a story 100 years ago, although we're going to tap into some of that too. But this year, at the beginning of Black History Month, the account of the sitting president of the United States posted a video. I know we all remember this, and I'm not trying to rehash what is happening here. I'm using it as a jump off point, okay? You know, it was made with artificial intelligence. Where are my... Give me a second. This is supposed to have all my notes on it. It was made with artificial intelligence, and what it was, and I'm just going to show it right now for anybody who has forgotten what was posted, right? It was made with artificial intelligence, and for TikTok, I'm sorry you cannot see this, but I'm showing the post of Donald Trump, right? I wish I was able to do this, but it is that he made of Barack and Michelle Obama, a former president of the United States and a former first lady of the United States, were turned into apes. As difficult it is to say this and to see this, we have to sit in the truth. So sit with that for a second with me. Apes. Okay? I'm moving back because that image perturbs me, and I'm not trying to rehash this stuff, but I just want to be clear. We have to situate it in the truth. And so when the outrage came, okay, when the outrage came, the video was taken down, okay? And the White House said a staffer made a mistake, my friends, okay? It was made by mistake. But President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, was asked about it, my friends, and he did not apologize. And why should he? We are who we are. We do what we do. Why do we have to apologize for being who we are? All we do is reveal who we are to people, and that's critically important. He said, and I'm quoting him, "I did not make a mistake." I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump was asked about the 8 post. He said, "I did not make a mistake." And there are so many meanderings and people pondering and pontificating and postulating about Donald Trump, who has, what they say, the beginnings of dementia. As a racial realist, I'm here to tell you that we don't know that diagnosis. There is no fact in that diagnosis. What is the fact? Since we don't know, we have to believe this man is operating on all cylinders regardless. And when we look at it like this man definitely is revealing behavior and verbalizing things that should have us roll back the hands of time and think about what could have been, but also in the present, there's something dreadfully wrong with this president who did that and said, "I didn't make a mistake." But remember, people show us who they are. I have a post about actions. You know, everybody's like, I got to see actions. I got to see actions, right? And then somebody keeps running their mouth and we keep giving them excuses and excuses and excuses while they keep showing us who they are. This man is showing us and been showing us who he is. And I know this is not lost on many Black, Kim, and brown peoples, okay? And then his press secretary told the country, and again, I am quoting what this woman said, "Please stop the fake outrage." And you know, I got to give it to Carolyn Lovitz, if that's her name, right? It is fake outrage. And I'm digressing from what I have written down as the meat and potatoes of what I want to share, but I want to be clear about this. It is fake outrage. We know what the United States of America is. We understand that this happens all the time. And then we act like we have fake outrage when we're seeing what we already know? I kind of agree with her. Stop the fake outrage. We can't be mad. Number one, because instead of fighting for systemic change, we just fought for equal rights. And if you want to fight for equal rights and then have those rights as an amendment, which means a tack on, which doesn't really mean anything because the main structure or machinery of the racism is built in the Constitution, then you get what you get and you don't have a fit because we never addressed the racism in the system and in the structure when we were dying. All we wanted was, not to take away from my relatives and the people who died in civil rights. These are our ancestors and they did what they did. But I mean, come on now. All we wanted to do was have equal rights in a society that was racist as hell. I guess we wanted to go for the lowest hanging fruit, right? Well, we see what the lowest hanging fruit got us. A whole bunch of executive orders and laws and Supreme Court judgments that take all this stuff away. So maybe we need to rethink how we do this and stop the fake outrage. We know what we're dealing with. We always know. So I agree with that. But now I need you to understand why this is not just one more ugly thing in an endless scroll of ugly things. Right? Low vibration, low frequency. This is all we're in right now, like low frequency sludge, low frequency, like sewage. That is what we're being energized with as citizens. And I put that in quotations, right? Because we're teetering on the edge of birthright citizenship. I don't care what the Supreme Court says or not says, right? Nobody's respecting birthright citizenship when it comes to ICE, right? So, quote unquote, citizens, okay? And so, drawing a black person as an ape, even if it is with AI, is not a random insult. And I just talked a little bit about that. It is the oldest picture in the United States of Americans racist playbook, okay? So, I should say song book because they're singing this now, singing it. It is the exact image that was used to argue for centuries that Kim folks, black folks, are not fully human. I'm not going to relitigate all this, but I just want to bring this back into our our realm of perception for this podcast. Okay, that we were closer to animals. Okay, my friends, than to people. And therefore, we could be owned, worked, beaten, and hung from trees. Who cares about an animal? If we're apes, look what they do to apes. They put them in zoos, and some of these zoos are really jacked up. And then we kill their environments. I mean, look, we get better treatment if we were a cat or a dog. If we were dogs, we get better treatment. They treat dogs better than they treat black and brown peoples in the United States of Americans. If you mess with a dog or a cat, you going to jail. If you shoot a black person in the street, you may not go to jail if you're a policeman. If you are arresting brown people for doing nothing and killing them, nothing happens to you. They treat dogs better than they treat people in the United States of Americans. Okay? And so that picture of blacks being inhuman helped build the auction block. And at the same time, it's a picture that was just aimed from the most powerful office on the face of this earth at one of the most accomplished black men this country and woman that this country has ever produced. I said one, right? Not the, because there are several brown and black peoples who are severely accomplished. Severely. I say severely. So here's the question, my friends. I want to hold up in the light today. This is the question. And I want you to really let it land, okay? Because your whole life may be tangled up in the answer. If they could do that to him, Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle Obama, right? If they could do that to a man from with a Harvard Law degree and 8 years in the Oval Office and a marriage so dignified it became a national symbol. If all of that was not enough to protect Barack Obama from being depicted as an ape, then what exactly have you been breaking your body and your spirit trying to prove in the United States of Americans? Yes, that's the question. So, my name is Minister Dr. Akila Ka Ma'at, and this is the Akh Ascension. And yeah, that was some intro, huh? And we come to the third body of light. Look, TikTok, I'm sorry you can't see this. Maybe when I learn how to get the graphics up there, you will. So just bear with me. I'm showing it, paraprofit.com on the path page. I'm looking at the first gate in purple, the gate of Ka, right? We come to the third one at the bottom, Ib or Ib, right? This is the third one. We did Ka, the body. We did Ka, the bloodline, the double. And now we are in the Ib or the Ib, the heart. Okay? That is where we're at.
Awaken the light.
And no, I did not mean to play that. I'm back. And so, the Ib, I'm going to start calling it the Ib, the Ib. It's called the Ib, the heart. In the old wisdom, the ancient African wisdom of our ancestors, those of you who believe that you do indeed hail from African continent, whether or not you know definitely for sure that you did or not, and that you don't believe that America is the motherland. I still can't get over that comment in my DMs. But the eye was not just the heart, was not just a muscle in your chest, okay? It was the seat, my friends, of who you are, okay? Your mind, your character, and your conscience, the very core of the self. And this week, we're going to do some deep work in the heart, the Ib. I don't know if I should be pronounced it like that. I like the Ib. I'm going to keep saying Ib until somebody tells me otherwise. Sometimes it's very hard to figure out how to pronounce these ancient African words, particularly if you're not versed in the language, and I'm not. So if there's a phonetic pronunciation, please put it in the comments so that I can say it correctly if you know how to say it phonetically, right? Okay. And so, and this week we're going to do some work, some deep work in the heart. But before we can heal it, as you know, before we can release and reframe, we have to tell the truth. We have to recognize about what's happening, about a wound. It's always a wound, right? That has been sitting in most of us for our entire lives, whether or not you feel it. I mean, people are like, that's not happening to me. They feel like they have to feel everything. There is a whole field of consciousness called the unconscious, where these things situate themselves. This internal residue situates itself. You don't have to feel it. It's operative, right? Oh, I've overcome that. I will say again, as I do in all of my live streams, as someone who counsels and advises, I use the trauma-informed approach. In all my work, I accept people where they are because that is respectful, that is humility, And that is the space that offers perhaps some conversation of learning on both sides, right? Trauma-informed approach. So we've been sitting in this wound, the wound of racism, okay? And it is a wound. It's trauma. And many of our nervous systems are held captive every day. And we don't even know that that is what the issue is with our anxiety or our depression and our self-loathing. We act like it's something else. It's a wound. And so here's the wound. This is how it operates. You have been on trial, my friends. On trial. I too. Your whole life, right? You have been quietly, exhaustingly on trial. And I think this is something that all Black and brown people feel. Excuse me, I have some coffee here. That all Black and brown people feel. Okay? So you've been quietly, exhaustingly on trial, trying to prove that you are good enough, compliant enough to be allowed to exist in peace. I'm good. I'm good. I do everything I'm supposed. I'm good. How come all this stuff is happening to me? I used to say that. I used to say that when I was an academic. That's a story for another day. Go read it. Ivory Tower Hypocrisy. You'll see. You'll see what I mean. Ivory Tower Hypocrisy. That's the book I wrote, edition 1 and edition 2. Okay. So look, you have been auditioning for your own humanity. Okay. And today, my friends, we are going to put that trial itself on trial. Okay. Because I do not believe you are supposed to be the defendant. Yeah. So let me name the thing precisely so that we understand what's happening here, because it goes by a polite word, right? Everything is so polite. They call it respectability. That's different from respect. Respectability, okay? And the bargain of respectability goes a little something like this. Hit it. If you are twice as good, they will give you half a chance. If you never raised your voice, never showed your anger, never took up too much space, never wear the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, if you achieve and if you comply and you keep your daggone head down and your grades or your performance up and your record clean, then you will finally be safe. You'll be accepted, okay? They will let you be. All right now. And I want to be careful here, my friends. If you're still here, subscribe, follow, like the video. And I want to be careful here because most of us were handed this bargain by people who loved us. It was your grandmother pressing your collar and telling you, baby, don't give them a reason. It was your mother saying, you got to be twice as good to get half as far in this world. It was the church and the school and every elder who had watched what happened to the ones who stepped out of line. They were not weak, my friends, and they were not foolish, no matter what I may pop off or throw from the hip. I respect and honor these folks, all of them, my family, others, and across time. Okay? They were not weak. They were not foolish. They were trying to keep you alive, my friends, in a country that has shown them over and over and over what it does to the Black, body, what it does to Black bodies, it decides is out of place. Respectability is a survival strategy. And I have to say, respectability in the white way is a survival strategy. Let us honor it as that. But I have to tell you the truth about that strategy, what it costs when you carry it your whole life. I believe I was impacted by this carrying. Okay, it turned your existence into a performance. It means you never get to simply be in a room. You have to manage yourself in that room. Watch your tone, soften your face, as I was told as a postdoc, smile more. Shrink your presence. Okay? Apologize before you have done anything, my friends, just for taking up space in a white room, whether or not they are all whites in the room or not. The room is white if you're in a system or an environment that has a culturally aligned, politically aligned, or is politically structurally aligned with whiteness. Okay? All right? And so it means, what that means, a low, constant hum of anxiety underneath everything, a voice that whispers, am I being too much? Am I being enough? Are they comfortable? Have I earned my place here yet? That, my friends, is a sound of a heart that has been placed on a scale and never once been allowed to get off of it. And no one can be at peace. No one can be at peace while a piece of them is always on trial. So let us test the bargain. Let's test the bargain. Let us find out if it is even true. Okay? Not half of it, my friends. All of it. Barack Obama did everything that respectability ever asked of a Kim or Black man. And then he did more, my friends. Columbia, Harvard Law, president of the Harvard Law Review, a constitutional law professor, a United States senator, and then the presidency itself, the highest office in the land. It's all messed up now. Held for 8 years without a single personal scandal. And beside him, Michelle Obama. Why she got her arms out? Why she got her arms out? Michelle Obama, Princeton, Harvard Law, a first lady of such grace and discipline that she handed this country the very words that became the anthem of respectability. Again, I'll say respectability in the white way, as far as they're concerned, right? Because we can never measure up to the white way. When they go low, we go high. When they go low, we go high. That family, the entire family, was the living, breathing advertisement for the entire bargain, my friends. If excellence and dignity and compliance could ever buy acceptance in America, that check would have been cleared for the Obamas. Would you agree? If you agree, write agree in the comments or the chat. It would have cleared them. They wouldn't even have to deal with this, right? Because that's the bargain. Be all you can be in the white way, and you will make it. So, what did the bargain actually pay out, my friends? While he was president, a movement rose up insisting that he was not even born in this country, birtherism, okay? And that he was secretly foreign, illegitimate, and a fraud in the quote unquote people's house. A congressman shouted, "You lie!" Remember that? At him during an address to the entire nation. A thing that was never done to any president before, my friends. A whole political movement organized itself in no small part around the sheer offense of his existence in that office. Excuse me. And now, years later, out of office, having given this country everything it ever said it wanted from a black man, he watches a sitting president post a video turning him and his wife into apes. I'm not going to show it again. And then say, I didn't make a mistake. Think about Mr. Nolan Wells, the poor brother who died, right? White friends on a boat, on a yacht, at a private island for like a whole bunch of people with money. Oh, Nolan Wells seems to be, he made it. Look where he is. Look what he's doing. We don't know what happened to him. Seems very suspicious the way people are behaving, but no one even cared whether he really disappeared or was murdered. His friends, the people that were on the island, he made it, right? But yet, look, it's not happy. I'm smiling because it helps me speak more articulately. But I'm just saying, respectability, the white way. So hear me. If it didn't work out for Barack and Michelle Obama, perhaps Nolan Wells, perhaps the plethora of black folks and brown people that it is not working out for, it's never going to work for you, for me, for any Kim person. And I do not say that to break your heart, because people going to push back. I made it. I got a job. I got this. I got that. Okay. Thank you for sharing, right? But look, I'm not saying it to mess your head up for those folks who are sort of new to these critical commentaries from a critical cultural, biomedical, social science, behavioral health PhD. I'm not saying it to break your heart. I say it to set you free. Let that sit on you for a minute. You have been trying to pass a test that even the most qualified black family in the history of this republic could not pass. Because it was never a test you could pass. I would even throw in there Jennifer R. Warren, the me. I couldn't pass the test either. Real time, real life. And listen, in his own response, Obama said something I want you to catch. Okay, my friends? He spoke about the loss of, and these are his words, quote, decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, end quote. Some will say, oh, you took that out of context. He said those words, okay? And so he named the death of the very bargain we are talking about. He mourned it, as we do in the release stage of the power of release. And I honor his restraint because I accept people, all peoples, where they are. I truly do. But I am a minister, not a politician. So I get to say out loud the next part that he could not, my friends. The decorum was never going to save us. It was never real. Never real, my friends. And grieving it, like the fake outrage, keeps our hearts up there on the damn scale. Let me take you underneath the politics all the way down to the soul, because this is where the real wound lives, my friends. And this is the work of the Aib, the heart. Our ancestors in the wisdom of the Nile Valley taught that after this life, the heart, the Aib, is carried into the great hall, the hall of judgment. You may have seen it in The Gods of Egypt, that really crazy looking movie, horrible, but Anubis, it went down to the underworld and you saw the great scales and you saw the hall of judgment. And that feather, that heart, is placed on the scale. And on the other side of the scale is a single feather. Okay? The feather of Ma'at. The feather of truth. The ostrich feather. And the heart is weighed against the truth to see if it is light, if it is honest, and if it is right. Not white, right. Here is what the world has done to us, okay? It has taken that sacred, once in eternity weighing, and it has made us to live inside it every day. It has convinced us that we are permanently in the halls of judgment, that our worth is always pending, that we have to keep proving over and over and over again, morning after morning, night after, well, nighttime is ours, but day after day after day, that our heart is light enough, good enough, acceptable enough to be spared. Respectability in the white way is nothing but that internal courtroom turned into a daily way of life. And I talked about the strong Black woman stereotype and the coping strategies that go with that. That is an example of turning that white respectability into a way of life. I don't know if it's still up, but there may be clips circulating on social media platforms. Look, you already wake up on the scale. You come out the belly, out the womb on the scale, if you're Kim. But now I must tell you, my friends, the hardest thing I'm going to say today, and I need you to really hear it because it is the whole wound, the wound in one sentence. The audit the world has been running on you was never weighing your truth. Just look at what we saw. A man does everything right, reaches the highest office on earth, and is still drawn as an ape. It is not a scale that weighs your worth. That scale is rigged before you were ever born. To read, not enough, no matter what you place on it, my friends. To read ape. Am I being hyperbolic? That's for you to decide. But to read ape, no matter how light your heart truly is. And my friends, you cannot pass the test that was designed for you to fail. My friends, you cannot pass a test that was designed for you to fail. What popped into my mind, I was thinking about the GRE, the graduate record examination you take before you go into grad school. You know, there's so many things written. I don't know why that fell on me, but I'm going to sit with this in a minute because my downloads are usually driven by the spirit. So I remember, stuff that I read about it's rigged and, it's not made for people, like it's not culturally appropriate. The questions, blah, 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 bing. Black Kim folks been passing that GRE left and right, black and brown. All right. So some are rigged and some can be passed. But then even when you passed a rigged test, there's still gatekeepers rigging the entrance to school, rigging the resources for scholarships to get into school. I'm getting excited over here. Real excited. Right? So, you are never going to audit your way into white acceptance. That's the bottom line. You could pass a test, gain interest in the school, but as far as gaining their acceptance, it's never going to happen because the audit was fraudulent from the beginning. From the beginning, my friends. And I want you to feel that. If it feels like grief, if it feels like anger, if it feels like figures, whatever you're feeling, sit in that for a moment because it means something significant to the way in which you are engaging with this content, right? And so all that energy that you are feeling right now, all those years of watching your tone and shrinking your presence and proving, my friends, it was spent trying to win a verdict from a court that was never going to rule in your favor. And I got to say this different ways over and over again because there's so many Kim folks who are so resistant to that idea. You're never going to get anything ruled in your favor, no matter what you did. So you could put that weight down, not because you gave up. I've struggled with that idea of giving up when I left academia. And it's a real struggle to have when you decide to separate from a system that no longer or that does not accept you. Fundamentally, do you waste your time in a hamster wheel trying to prove something like that? Or do you leave? And yes, I struggle with the idea that I gave up. And sometimes I have to continually tell myself the truth that no, I did not give up. You did not give up because I finally saw the scam for what it is. I mean, we do need money and all that. So, and I'm sweating. I got the air on, I'm still hot. Because we see the scam for what it is. It's like, why spin my wheels in academia for white people when I can spin my wheels doing what I want to help Kim people. The same thing, different audience, different work. Why am I going to give my goodies to a system that doesn't care? That's part of why I do the work that I do. So, if that is the wound, let me show you what the other side looks like, right? Because we have ancestors who already refused this trial. They did not audition for their humanity, my friends. They walked in already knowing they had it, as many Kim folks do today. It's better today than it was for me. I'm Generation X. Yeah, we were kind of whited out with integration into these schools. I'm not even going to get into all that Generation X because Generation Xers have been pretty successful. Pretty successful. But anyway, so I want to show you what the other side looks like. These folks did not audition their humanity. They walked in it already knowing they had it. And I should have put up here some contemporary folks, like some of my favorites. I'm not even going to get into that. I'll do another one on another live stream on that. But let me tell you about Miss Ida B. Wells. I was introduced to Miss Ida B. Wells as a grad student getting my PhD. I read all of her autobiographies, all of her work, even though that was not the assignment, but I related. I felt connected with Miss Ida B. Wells. Okay? When Black men and women, and yes, I have a graphic up, Ida B. Wells. I'm going to TikTok, I'm going to get there with you and learn how to put this stuff up. All right? When Black men and women were being lynched across this country, when it was the most dangerous possible truth a person could tell, Miss Ida B. Wells told it. She was a journalist and she documented the lynchings, the names, the lies used to justify them, and she published it for the whole world to see. This woman traveled all over Europe trying to gain allies to address lynching in America, the United States of Americans, my friends. And she did not do it quietly. And she did not do it safely. Okay? She traveled with a pistol because she had already decided that her life was not up for negotiation. And she said, quote, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them." She was, quote, end quote, she was not asking permission to exist. And TikTok, so you know, I'm doing multi-streams here, the phone and then another program on my computer. So please bear with me. I'm just trying to get the message out to all people as much as I can, right? She was not asking permission to exist. She was standing in the full light of her own humanity and daring anyone to test her. Now, let me tell you about Fannie Lou Hamer. And yes, TikTok, she's on my screen. The book I read was For Freedom's Sake, as well as the book of her speeches. Fannie Lou Hamer, a sharecropper, a regular person. She wasn't credentialed. She was down home, Mississippi, not polished, not respectable in the white way by any standard the bargain would recognize, sick in her body in some ways, and impoverished and tired. And she stood up in front of the entire nation. And TikTok, my battery is going dead on you right there. I don't know. I'm going to plug this in and see if I can. Oh, that's not it. I was going to plug in the thing to see if it worked. So I'm going to keep an eye on the percentage TikTok. All right. So And she stood up front in front of the entire nation, and she told the raw truth about what it cost to try and vote while black in Nolan Wells's Mississippi. And she said the words that still ring out today. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. She, Fannie Lou Hamer, did not clean it up. She did not make herself smaller so the country could stay comfortable, my friends. She did not do any of that. She testified and she moved a nation without ever once auditioning for it. Although she was still auditioning every day as a black woman, as was Ida B. Wells. You see what they both understood all the way down in the Ibe, in the heart. What did they both understand? They understood that their right to exist was self-evident, that it was not a question sitting on the table for other people to answer, my friends. It was already true. And if you don't think that your stuff is sitting on a table for other people to answer, who will answer it if you do not, I accept you where you are. Okay? Look, it's already true. Your right to exist, self-evident. The way the sun is already true, my friends. That is the heart that has stepped off the scale. And just like President Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. Oh, I probably got it wrong. Sorry, I love you, President Traore. Look at him. He is no longer auditioning. The people in Burkina Faso have a right to exist. And he is shaking up the machinery, pulling back the goodies, banishing people, rewriting the identity with the Sahel countries together to re-envision African sovereignty. That, my friend, is a heart that stepped off the table. That stepped off the scale. Okay? And look, these women, along with Traore, Ibrahim Traore, look, what their acts did more with one honest word, one serious action, one act of standing fully upright than 100, than eons of years of shrinking and proving has ever done. They are not just history, they are your inheritance. That fearlessness, my friends, is in your bloodline, in the Ka. It is available to your heart right now. Now I have to name something else, right? Because we just got to get all of it out. I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do this TikTok. Let me see if I can get some. I'm looking for my. Give me a second. Oh, what happened? Oh my goodness. Give me a second. I'm looking for my charger. No. Let me see if this will help. This charger wasn't working. Sorry, TikTok. I'm coming back. Let's see. I don't know if this still works. Maybe not. I'm going to talk as long as I can. Okay, now I have to name something bigger. And I'm going to be careful and fair as I do, because I want what I say to be unassailable. What happened to the Obamas in that video is not separate from what is happening in the law of this country. The contempt in the culture and the machinery in the government are, in my reading, the same effort wearing two different masks. Let me give you the second mask, and let me give it to you exactly. On the first day back in office in January of last year, the president signed an executive order. I mean, he signed many. I don't know. Instagram, you may not be able to see this, but it's up. And TikTok, I'm pulling up what's on the official White House site. The president signed an executive order. Its title, Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing. That's what I'm showing, a screenshot of that title from the White House. Okay? So, and it directed every federal agency to shut down. To shut down its diversity, equity, and inclusion offices, and to strip that work out of hiring and training and contracts across the government. This is what amendments do, right? They're easily thrown away. And I never was a fan of DEI to begin with. And maybe one day I'll do a live stream on the spiritually bereftness of what it was actually doing. Granted, some people got in the door, but let me tell you, yes, it worked for Black folks. I can see why whites are mad, because the ones that really needed some DEI workshops, some DEI help, they were not sitting in those classes. They were secretly conspiring to take over the freaking government and to storm the Capitol on January 6th. Okay? And so all these federal agencies were shut down. The diversity, equity, and inclusion offices, and it stripped them. It stripped that work out of hiring, training, and contracts across the government. Now, I'm going to be fair, if I can, to the order, because the truth is my feather. Yeah, the order says it is doing this to end what it calls discrimination and waste, and to restore, in its own words, merit and equal dignity. That is how it frames itself. Okay? But I want you to listen to me, my friends. Listen to one word in that title, because that one word tells you what's really being said. Preferencing. Preferencing. That word takes every open door, every seat at the table that Kim folks fought for, bled for, and died to reach, and it renames it. It says that seat was not earned. It was a handout. Thomas Clarence, a preference. And here, my friends, is where the whole trap finally closes. And I want you to see both of its jaws. When they keep you out, they tell you that you do not qualify. And when you get in, they tell you you did not earn it. When you are excellent, your excellence is treated as a threat. And they draw you as an ape. Or they prompt AI to create an ape video. When you are included, your very presence gets called discrimination against somebody else. There is no move on that board. No move on that board that wins. It is not an egalitarian scale. It is a rigged, the white way scale. And now it is not just one man's cruel video, my friends. It is the machinery, as it has always been, of the state, quietly telling people that their belonging here was always illegitimate. And you know what's so interesting? I'm sitting on the front row of this as a psychic advisor. You know, when I'm even so the fallout now that I'm picking up, I have Black women callers who call me, and they work in federal agencies. Okay, and there seems to be a wave of hiring of supervisors and managers who are white, young, but white female, predominantly is what I'm hearing, but white males as well getting hired as managers and supervisors in many of these federal agency departments. And so I get calls from Black women who've been at these jobs for 25, 20, 15 years, who are highly skilled, actually should have been in that position, whether, could have been their own decision, their own choice, or just, But they call me highly skilled, capable, right? And they're talking about the ill treatment that they are getting from these white supervisors ever since these federal agencies had this executive order about DEI. And so one woman in particular, her story was just really palpable. She had a meeting with white colleagues at her job, right? They were doing a team meeting and they were talking about addressing something, right? She was senior in that meeting. She was been there for a long time. And yes, I'm going off of what they tell me, but most time my clients speak truth because they cannot get a reading that is truthful if they lie to me in sharing the issue, right? So she's talking about how, and yes, I've been a psychic for more than 30 years. And so she's telling me they had this meeting, right, about how to deal with a problem. And so she's got particular ways of working things out. And so she left the meeting and she was mumbling to herself, just out loud, which is seen as a sign of great intelligence, talking to yourself. Go look up Carl Jung, right? All right. And so she's sort of mumbling to herself, analyzing the problem out loud to herself. Again, this is a Black woman in the federal agency with a newly hired white female. Okay. She's talking to herself. And the next thing that she knows, she's being called into the office of this white supervisor, newly hired, who doesn't seem, in this woman's opinion, to have a great skill set. Talk about merit. This woman says that she's getting complaints from the other employees because of her talking to herself. And she said, what? She says, yes, I was talking to myself. And then the woman proceeds to say, well, the other people are concerned about this. And she said, what? And the white woman actually said to this highly skilled, capable, experienced Black woman, yes, they said you are talking about them to yourself. I almost fell out of my reading chair. They were scared and concerned. They said she was talking about her coworkers to herself. This woman called this woman in there to give her this accusation in all seriousness. The Black woman thought she had addressed the issue in the office. Come to find out that this manager, supervisor, had written into her performance report that she was talking to herself about other employees, and now they are scared for their safety and concerned. You see the outrageousness, the outrageousness. And she didn't even tell the woman she put it in her performance report. So they couldn't get her on her experience or skill. So they tried to make her sound like she was insane. way this Black woman found out that it was in her performance report is that she just happened to have the intuitive download. She should read it. She read it, and then she went to address this issue with this white woman who was like, started stuttering like an imbecile. And do you see now why I am teaching this week on the heart? Because an effort like this is aimed straight at your aim. If you already carry the belief, which most of us do, unconscious internal residue, this belief that your existence is conditional, which it is, consciously and unconsciously, whether you believe it's happening to you or not, that you have to earn your place, then an order that calls your inclusion a preference does not only take your job, my friends, it reaches into your heart and it turns the dial up. It makes you audit yourself even harder. Work twice as hard. Prove and prove and prove again and again that you deserved and deserve the seat. The assault out there in the world and the wound in here in your, my, our chest, look, are not two separate fights, my friends. They are the same fight. They are exactly why we have to win it in here first. So let me gather all this into one clear place before we close today. And yeah, my phone's getting ready to go, but I'm still here to the end, TikTok. You have been trying to prove that you deserve to exist. And I am here to tell you, with all of the love that I have, my friends, that you can never win that particular fight. Because the people holding that particular scale were never, ever going to weigh you in an egalitarian way. Not when you are kept out, not when you get in, my friends. Not even when you become president. That is the wound of the Abe. And today, I am not papering over it. I am letting us see it in because there are many, a full light, because our ancestor, Ida and Fannie Lou Hamer, taught us the light of truth is exactly how you right a wrong. But I'm not going to leave you standing in that wound either, because here is what I know. There is another court. There is an older scale. And it is a scale in the hall of Ma'at. And it does not weigh your compliance. It does not weigh their comfort. It does not weigh the color of your skin. It weighs one thing: truth. And on that scale, the truth of you, the truth of you, the truth that you are a whole, sacred, and fully human child of an unbroken line, that truth is already as light as a feather. Your heart was made for that scale, not theirs. And tomorrow, at this same time, that is exactly where we are going, my friends. Is this it? The audit is over. TikTok, I'm showing a graphic. The audit is over, and we are going to walk right into that hall together. And I am going to show you, my friends, I'm going to show you how to take your heart off of their pan, their scale pan, for good and set it down on the only scale that was only ever real. Today, you saw a trial, the trial I presented for the fraud that I perceive it is. Tomorrow, you get to walk out of the courtroom, my friend. So be here at 2:30 tomorrow. You do not want to miss it. TikTok, I'm going to say so long because my phone is dying. Right now, let me see. Okay, I'm going to give you some good love before I leave. Before you go today, TikTok's going to go first, so YouTube and Instagram stay. Before you go today, let me say one thing over here, like a blessing, my friends, because you may have not heard it in a very long time, or maybe ever. You do not have to prove a single damn thing to be worthy of the breath that is in your body right now. Not to them, not to me, not to God, who already settled the matter when you were made. You are not the deficit, my friend. You never were. You are the antenna. You are consecrated ground. Your heart is already light. Stop trying to prove you deserve to exist. You already do. Now, here is how we keep walking together, right? TikTok, check out the links in bio. Come to my website, you'll see. All right. I am talking a little bit more about the full moon ceremony tomorrow. So TikTok, if you want to come on over to YouTube, please come on over. Again, I'm going to keep you up until it goes. So, how we keep walking together, my friends, right? I already showed you tomorrow's teaching. The audit is over. Tomorrow night, my friends, we have a full moon heart dedication. I don't know if I put this up on TikTok or Instagram yet. But we're doing a full moon heart dedication tomorrow, July 29th, my sister's birthday, at 11 p.m. I will put this up, if it's not already, as a reel and post. Okay? So, all of us together, we're getting together for a free live full moon dedication. Okay? This is the medicine for the exact wound we named today. Because the deepest lie of respectability is that you are alone on the scale, right? 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 One small self auditioning all by yourself. And when we stand or sit or lay, whichever way it works for you, together under one moon, the buck moon that is all about personal transformation, and call the names of our beloved out loud, that lie loses some of its argument. So the intention behind the full moon circle that we're doing is based on an intention, right? Yes, I'll be guiding it. I'll cleanse the space energetically and believing, knowing that that cleansing extends to everyone who is in the circle. You can cleanse your own space if you understand how to do that. But the intention behind this is we are calling benevolent ancestral spirits. Yeah, spirits, because nobody dies. Watch stuff on quantum theory. Consciousness is just goes back into the cosmos. I got a whole live stream I'm probably going to share about this. It's so deep. But even before that, we know that these spirits exist. So we want to focus on those that we know are beloved. right? People past that really cared for us. We do not want to pull up people, spirits that may not have been our allies, right? And we can also say, of course, for those who died in the Middle Passage and during slavery that I do not know, who have only my best interests at heart. I will be speaking this too out loud, right? So first, we're talking about benevolent ancestral spirits. The intention is to keep you and your family safe, stable, and protected, period. And together, as we are saying the names with this intention, one, protection for you and your family. As we're saying the names, we need to focus on protection for your family, particularly in the mix of this mess called the United States of America. So you can ask for protection. You can ask for protection and for your ancestors to fix this mess. There was a woman who did the intention experiment. I forget her name. She wrote a book. And with intention, you can make things move. She proved it. So we already have Kim power. So why not set our intention as Kim people to have our ancestors fix this mess? So protection and fix. These are the intentions for tomorrow. That will start 11 p.m. sharp. And you will feel this in your body, that you are accompanied and that your ancestors stand with you. Grief gets lighter in the circle. Loneliness cannot survive it. Come exactly as you are. You can also, if you can, these are not mandatory, have a candle in your space. Libation, if you have it, to pour, maybe to drink, have a toast. I don't know. Whatever you believe, I pour it out. Okay? I will have a little to pour out. I'm still debating whether I'm going to take it to the beach, if I have a camera person, or if I'm going to do it in front of my altar. I will figure that out tomorrow. Okay? If you don't have anything, libation or candles, don't worry. You just come. Standing, sitting, laying. All right? Just bring every name that you want to speak and the intention that I gave you. And you can get the Ka practice guide. It's still up on powerprofit.com/community, right? This is going to help facilitate ancestral remembrance and help you pull out those peoples who have passed that you want to name in the ceremony or the circle. This event is free, right? And everyone who registers for this circle receives a free 7-day trial to the temple. And the link to register for the event will be in the description of this video, okay? You can also go to www.power-profit.com/community and you will see the link to register. Second, the temple. We need you in the temple. When you are ready to stop visiting this work and start living inside of it, that is what the temple is for, right? You hear it. What are you going to do about it, right? Now, I'm straight up. I'm not a spiritual teacher that's going to be like, oh, I mean, yes, I have that ability to be flexible and adaptive to my clients, but either you're going to do something or you're not. You're going to change the way your life is going or you're not. Or you want to be better for who you are now or you don't. Period. This is what the temple is for. To live your best life, my friends. The temple is the home. And I know many people say this about their thing. You go to where you feel is most appropriate for you. The temple is available. This is where the people who are tired of proving, come to be unshakable. Inside the temple, you receive weekly dedication circles. It could be ancestral name, it could be calling the names, it could be other type of intentional circles, where we're trying to heal someone from whatever they may be going through. Yes, laying hands on virtually, right? Learning mother tongue circles, right? Okay. So there are dark, awake, and other meditations that we'll do live in the temple. And in the temple, you have free access to comprehensive practice guides, not the one that I share for these streams, but the comprehensive companion guides with everything in it, and then some. And then we have other practice guides, ritual notes, all that type of stuff is all free that people have to normally pay me for. Okay? We have live rituals and gatherings. Oh, my phone's acting up. I got 2 minutes. On TikTok, I'm going to go bye-bye. All right, the phone's about to die. See you, TikTok. Thank you. I gotta go bye-bye. It's dying. See you, TikTok. Okay. Okay. What was I saying? I'm still here, Instagram. If Instagram's still here. I haven't even checked these things recently. Oh, I'm still there. And you also get discounts on my services and products. You get an exclusive Sacred Temple newsletter, which has stuff that I would never divulge in my blog. And you get a live monthly intuitive tarot reading with me. I actually make an appointment with you, and you sit, and whatever you want to ask me is what you ask me, right? It's a full reading. No more than 40 minutes. That's a long time for a reading. Okay. And this is where the audit actually ends, right? It's where you learn to walk into the hard room sourced from within, right? Instead of performing for the people in it, where you learn to say the guiltless no, right? Where you get to be one whole self in every room. You were never meant to walk this alone, my friends. The door is at power-profit.com/community. And to join, it would be /groups. Okay. And I got to share this with you. I'm putting up a ad on I think Friday at 12. But I have news that I've been holding for you. Everything I teach and more, the whole path and more, the 9 bodies of light, the melanin, the way from forced to force, is becoming a book. It is called Born of the Darkness. And it is coming this winter solstice, December 21st, my friends. Okay? I wrote it for the person who has spent a whole lifetime believing he is the deficit, so that he or she or them can finally hold in one place the truth that they were always and will always be an instrument. If anything today reached something in you, the book is the whole map and then some. Follow me so you don't miss a single teaching between now and then, and join the temple to be the first through the door when the book arrives. And you'll also receive sample chapters for comment, feedback if you'd like. So, yeah, I was going to say something. Oh, follow me. Yes. Or subscribe to power-profit.com. Subscribe to YouTube, definitely like this video. All right. That is enough for today. I talked a lot. Go easy on your sacred heart. Stop auditioning long enough to sleep in peace, my friends, because the verdict is already in. Never forget that. And it always was and is always in your favor. I will see you tomorrow in the Hall of Ma'at. Until then, my friends, take care of that heart. It was never the thing on trial. And good day, my friends, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Be blessed. I appreciate you. I really do. Bye-bye.